This is the new Audi A4. Now, saying new, it's not strictly all new. It's more as though Audi's been reading a self-help book and they've taken a good, long, hard look at the A4 and figured out how they can improve various bits of it to make it more appealing to people. It's got a slightly tweaked design, slightly revised interior, some new engines and some added tech. But it's still effectively the same car underneath. Now, this revised Audi A4, it starts from £30,000. Let's kick off this review by talking about the A4's design. Generally, it looks the same as before, and it's a smart looking vehicle. There are some updates, for instance, the design of the lights, which are all LED. And now you get this strip that joins them. The bumper's slightly tweaked as well, and the exhausts. On S-Line cars, you have silvery bits of trim to make it feel more expensive. Lesser cars don't have that though. As we move down the side, there's a really significant change. So when they facelift cars, they only normally just mess around with the plasticky bits, the bumpers, but they've actually changed the body panel. So you've now got these creases here in the rear haunches that go into the doors. That looks very smart, and it follows on from the A6. Similar story here at the front as well. It is unusual that at the front you have completely new lights and they're all LED, redesigned front bumpers, and the thing that I'm really not sure about at all is this vent here. It looks sporty and it works on the A1, but on this more sophisticated, more grown-up A4, it's just a little bit out of place. It's like a 50-year-old wearing Converse trainers. I like the colour though. Colour's awesome because it's Carwow blue, so of course I'm going to like it. Overall, a successful update apart from that bit there. Here in the front, the revised A4 is pretty much identical to how it was before, which is not a bad thing really, because it is a nice, simple, clean design. Quite as good as well. So squidgy here, soft materials here, solid centre console. It's even nice material here on the door bins, lovely steering wheel, controls all nicely damped. I do like the way that they have the controls for the climate there in the dials as well. It's really nice. The main differences are here. So you've got piano black plastic instead of kind of matte grey. Looks good, but it does scratch easily. There's a new compartment here, because there's no swivel wheel, because the infotainment system is new and you've got this massive screen here on the dash. And that brings me on to this car's specs. The A4 range kicks off with the Technic model, and it gets a 10-inch infotainment screen and a 12-inch digital driver's display, 3-zone climate control, normal cruise control with auto emergency braking and pedestrian detection, all-round parking sensors and a reversing camera, 4-way adjustable lumbar support and heating for the front seats, though the seats are just made out of cloth. And of course, automatic lights and wipers. Next up is a sport model, which has some sportier exterior styling, including 18 instead of the normal 17-inch alloy wheels, interior ambient lighting, and leather sport seats. Next up is the S-Line model, which gets some posh badging, some improved sporty exterior styling, and lowered stiffened sport suspension, and sport seats that are both part leather and part Alcantara. Now you can actually get a black edition car, which is essentially the S-Line, but with some more black bits of trim. A sporty steering wheel with a flat bottom. Finally, there's a range-topping Vorsprung model, which has adaptive matrix LED headlamps, which can black out part of their beam so you don't dazzle oncoming drivers. Fully adaptive cruise control, which can brake the car to shunt along in slow-moving traffic and will steer it to keep you in lane. A sunroof, adaptive suspension, electrically operated front seats, heated rear seats, and a 360-degree camera. Right, and let's continue this review by talking about this infotainment system. It's just a touchscreen. There's decent icons, large enough size so you can press them quite easy, and it makes a clicking sound when you hit them. Although unlike the infotainment system that you get on the A6 and the very latest Audis, it doesn't vibrate to let you know that you've actually hit the right button, so that is a bit harder when you're driving. The system itself is pretty high resolution to look at. It's nice. It responds reasonably quick enough. It's not as fast in terms of scaling as your mobile phone, but I can't fault that resolution. It's pretty blooming nice, and it's all pretty logical as well. You've also got some voice commands with it, but they are not the best. They're quite limited what they'll do. The good news is though, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, I would use that satellite navigation system over Audi's. Although Audi's one is pretty good, it's just better to use Waze or Google Maps with all the live traffic information. The only problem is that you can't have the mapping from Waze or Google Maps on the digital dials. And this digital driver's display is one of the very, very best in the business. You can change the view if you wanted to make the dials smaller and switch through all the functions that you can control through the main screen just on the steering wheel. And that is what I do. I think it's brilliant. Superb system, and overall Audi's infotainment system is good, though it's not quite as good. You know it, guys, you know what I'm going to say. As everybody together, come on. BMW's iDrive, and if you click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link below the video, you can watch my in-depth video review of the new BMW 3 Series. Now let's talk about connectivity. So you've got USB input here, your 12-volt socket there if you need to charge some other devices. There's a wireless charging pad under here and a USB-C input, which I will never use because I never have the connector under there as well. You've got some extra storage here, a little place for your keys. Glove box is what I would call average. Nice size though, the door bins, look. Large bottle, fit easy into door bin. There's some extra storage here for some other bits and pieces. Bloody hell, that goes back a long way. See how far my arm went in there. And then you've got some decent sized cup holders. Now if you have taller bottles, they do start to get in the way of these buttons, but really it's not too much of a problem. As for the driving position, absolutely lovely. So you can extend the seat base out there for some more under thigh support. Jack it up quite a way because there's a decent amount of headroom if you're short. Get nice and low if you're tall. And if you've got really long legs, look at that. I can't even reach the pedals now. Obviously the people behind me have no room. Lots of adjustment in the steering wheel. And voila, it's a very practical car here in the front. Now let's go check it out in the back. So one of the good things about the A4 is the rear doors open nice and wide. It's not quite as easy to get into as an SUV such as a Q5 because you have to flop down into it, but it's still not too much of a problem really. As you can see, I've got plenty of space in here. Knee room's really, really good. Headroom is all right. I can just about fit a whole hand under there because it's recessed the roof is. So people over 6 foot will be more than happy back here. If you need to carry 3 people at once, the centre seat is comfy enough, but there is this hump in the floor that you have to like work your legs over like that. And then you're sitting a bit higher, so headroom isn't quite so good, but once again, I can just about get away with it. There's lots of space in the footwells for everyone's feet. The only slight problem is that the body, it's kind of wide, but it's not the widest in class. There are a few better cars for carrying 3 people across the back at once, such as a Volvo V60 or S60. Let's move back over here because I want to show you some of the practicality aspects. Net edge, it's all right, it's not too saggy. The door bins, lo and behold, are big enough for a largish bottle. Back window's nice and big, so you get a good view out. It's just a bit of a shame they don't go all the way down for leaning out purposes, but most people don't do that, and kids are generally just on their iPads anyway. Speaking of which, back here, there is only one point to charge stuff, so you're going to need one of those little 12-volt socket adapters with 2 USB ports, so you can charge both your kids' iPads so they don't constantly rattle on when you're driving down the right way and get on the nerves. There's an armrest here with some pointless storage under there. In fact, you could probably fit a small tablet in there. And I like this. There seems to be a new design for the cup holders in here. Look at that. It just gets better and better. That's so very, very German. Possibly slightly over-engineered. And if you need to carry longer items, look. Oh, yes. Fold this down and carry things through here, such as some skis. I always say skis, probably never is skis. It's more likely to be some kind of like long lamp or a piece of timber for a bit of DIY. If you need to carry really young people, then it's dead easy to fit a child seat in here. The ISOFIX covers are removable, so you might lose them, but the actual points, the anchors, are very easy to get to, and it's simple to fit a child seat, and you can fit a rear facing seat, even the big ones, without having to move the front seat forward. And there's just about enough room to squeeze a human being in between two, so you could take someone along with 2 kids in the back if you absolutely had to for short journeys. Let's check out the boot then. So in absolute outright literage capacity, it's 480 litres, which is as big as it gets for this class of saloon car. And the best thing about the Audi is it's a nice square boot, so it's dead easy to pack full. There's a bit of a load lit, but you know, for a saloon, that is nothing. It's dead easy to get things in and out of here as well. Plus, you've got some useful things like tie-down points. There's nets either side. You've also got a 12-volt socket hidden in there, so you can charge bits and pieces if you need to. And look at this, a little hook where you can hang your shopping bags off, so all your produce doesn't roll around the place when you're going around a roundabout. Underneath here, there's a bit more storage, kind of, where you could squeeze stuff in. It all fits around the battery for the mild hybrid system. And if you need to carry even more stuff, what you can do is fold down the rear seats. Annoyingly, you can't do it from in the boot like you can in some other cars, so, oh God, I almost fell over. You have to do it from here, but the seats, as you can see, do lie reasonably flat, so yeah, not a problem to push things through, and the opening through into the cabin is quite large as well. So how much stuff can you fit in this car's boot? Well, with the back seats folded down, you can fit in 2 large boxes, 3 small boxes, 3 more small boxes, 2 large suitcases and 2 small suitcases. With the seats up, you can fit in 2 large suitcases and 2 small suitcases, plus a baby buggy or a set of golf clubs. There is one thing I forgot to point out, is this, look. I like how, even though you haven't got an automated tailgate, it's so nicely damped that it doesn't chin you when you open it like it does on some other cars. However, it's not all good. Here's 5 annoying things about the Audi A4. Well, it's nice to have a sunroof. Unfortunately, it doesn't particularly open very wide for what you expect on a modern car. The resolution of the parking camera just isn't up to the actual quality of that infotainment screen. What a waste, they should have updated this as well. In the past with Audi, you used to be able to fit pretty much any option to any model of car, no matter how basic it was. Not anymore though. For instance, you can't get the Matrix LED headlights on lesser models than the Vorsprung. The reason is due to the way they have to report the emissions of the car, and extra options do increase the emissions. Yeah, it's all to do with regulation and a little bit annoying for the customer. Oh look, it appears there's space for a spare wheel, but actually you can't fit one at all because of the mild hybrid technology. That means there's only tyre sealant. So yeah, if you get a puncture, you're gonna have to call the breakdown service to help you out. The infotainment screen gets covered in fingerprints, which you really notice when the screen is off. I mean, oh, look at that filth on here. Thank God that Audi has provided this branded cloth to wipe it all off with. Ugh. Mind you, I bet that added about 20 quid to the cost of the car. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. The new mild hybrid technology fitted to some versions of the A4 means that when you lift off the accelerator when you're driving, the engine will cut and you'll just coast, and that helps save fuel. There are 2 coat hooks in each side of the rear seats, so it means that everyone can hang their coat up, or you can hang up your 4 coats if you like to wear 4 coats. The car's navigation system is constantly working in the background, and it can tell when you're about to reach a roundabout or a junction, or if there's traffic ahead, and it'll tell you to just back off the throttle because you may as well just slow down and coast to help save fuel. All very clever. Look here, you have a little lock on the seat backs, which means you can lock them in place, and you can also lock the ski hatch as well, which means that if someone breaks into the car, they can't then get into your boot to steal all your valuables. Petrol versions of the A4 have real exhausts. Yes, there's a big surround, but the exhaust within does pass the Carwow stick of truth. Now, I'm not going to mention anything about the other vents on this car, otherwise I'll have to include this in the bad section. I'm running out of goods, all right? Okay then, it's time to talk engines. Stay with me, I'll keep it brief. So the mainstay of the range are 2-litre turbo petrols and 2-litre turbo diesels with different states of performance. If you click on the pop-out button just up there in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can go to Carwow for the exact details on our specs pages. But the one you really want is the one in this car. So it's the TFSI 40. So it's got 190 horsepower, so decent performance, gives all right economy, and it's quite a decent price as well. It's also got the S-Tronic gearbox. You can have a manual. I wouldn't. I'd have the S-Tronic automatic gearbox. And certain models you can actually get with Quattro all-wheel drive, which isn't necessary. Now it's time to see what this A4 is like to drive. I'm going to start in town. The suspension is really good over bumps. This is the S-Line. It's supposed to be sportier, but that's all good. You can actually get it with adaptive dampers, but I don't think you need them. The standard setup that I've got on this car is more than adequate at just smoothing out the bumps. The turning circle is all right. It's not the best in the world. It's okay though. Quite like it. Also the brakes, they're pretty sharp, but they're not too grabby. It's all pretty blooming good actually. Now let's see what this car is like to park. Here we go, here's a space. Now this will highlight one of the issues I have with the A4. The automatic gearbox, the way it works means that it's a little bit jerky when you're just pulling away. So you have to be quite careful when you're parking. Visibility in the car is decent. The reversing camera is nice and large. The definition isn't the best. All right, let's see if we can get into this space. It's really handy the way the door mirror automatically tilts down. That'll do. Once again, this is going to be a bit awkward that I don't hit the car in front. The gearbox just isn't quite as smooth, especially for parking, as that you get in a Mercedes C-Class, and if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. It's not awful, it's just something to note. When you're driving along at normal speeds, the gearbox is fine, it's just manoeuvring. That's enough of that. When you go on the motorway, this A4 is predictably good. It's relaxing, it's quiet. You can do lots of miles in this thing, and it's reassuringly stable at speed. The gearbox and the engine work very well together as well, so I'm cruising at 50 miles an hour, I'm in comfort mode, I need to overtake, floor it, off we go. Gearbox responds well. And the engine is nice and smooth, nice and quiet. That is good. As for the economy, 32 miles per gallon. Not bad for a turbo petrol. This 2 litre, 190 horsepower engine is pretty impressive. The question is though, how does the Audi perform on a twisty road? Because obviously it's going to be sensible, right? So probably not much fun. I'm just going to put it into dynamic mode, sharpen up the weight of the steering and make the throttle response a little bit snappier. Put it into manual mode for the automatic gearbox. Here's a corner. It just seems to go round. The steering isn't exactly sharp or that, but the car just grips and once again goes round. Unflappable. It's actually really good. You don't think it's going to be, but it just grips and does its thing. Just gets on with business. It's not fun, it's not sporty, it's not like darty like an Alfa Romeo Giulia. But really, for most people, most of the time, it does all you need to do, and you'll probably keep up with a Giulia. This is despite the fact this car is front-wheel drive. The Giulia is rear-wheel drive, which is a more sporty setup. Though, of course, you can get this Audi with four-wheel drive if you need some added grip. That is impressive. I felt like it shouldn't be that good, but it just is. So then, what's my final verdict on the revised Audi A4? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Why am I laughing at my own jokes that aren't even funny? Or should you go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the A4. It's a really lovely family car, feels super posh, the updates are good, but it's no longer the very best in class.